I talked about my father. Now I'd like to talk about the ladies in my life. That's my mother and my two grandmothers and a little bit my sister. My mother, she was very ambivalent about having a gay son. She didn't want a sissy for a son. She wanted the man to be the man. But she also liked having a gay son. She liked going shopping with me and that I was patient with her while she looked for dresses and that I could be interested in them and that we could talk about movies and art things that she didn't get to talk about with Dad. And she had a hard time being supportive of me being gay, but like I said, she enjoyed the fact that I was in many ways, and she was a huge influence on me. Like I said, I didn't like to hang out with the guys. I liked to hang out with the girls, and not to do hair and stuff like that, but to listen and to gossip a little. All right, gossip a lot. But she was so wonderful, so stylish, and so elegant, and so, in many ways, forward-thinking, especially for a woman of her era. We had this housekeeper who was an African American, a wonderful woman, whose name was Polly, and Mom, Polly wanted to work full time for us, but they couldn't afford it, Mom and Dad. So eventually Polly moved away. She moved to California. Her daughter, they wanted to go there. I guess her marriage broke up or something like that. I was very young. I don't remember. But there was a time when, like I said, Mom was very forward thinking, and Polly had said that, I wish that you were wealthy enough, that you could have parties and I could, take care of you and help you arrange for things. It would be, you're so cool that way, the way you dress. And Mother, wasn't having any of this. She did not look upon herself in that instance as upper class. There was a time when the woman across the street came over for coffee, and that was Mrs. Collins, Laura Collins. And Polly had made the coffee, but Mother said, "No, Polly, you sit down. No, come on, Polly, you've been working all day. You sit down. I'm taking a break. Laura's here. You sit down." Now, Laura was terribly uncomfortable about this, and Mother defended this. But more uncomfortable than Laura was Polly. She just sweat buckets. But it was just, and I could see, and, I was in the room, I wasn't allowed coffee or anything like that, but Mom was trying. She was, and she was influencing me. So Polly wasn't happy about it. Laura wasn't happy about it. And Mom was a little hurt, but eventually Polly just got up and said, this, I'm not comfortable. Or she didn't say comfortable. She said, I don't belong here, I think is what she said. Anyway, Polly left our lives, but Mom was innovative and stylish and wonderful, and I knew that she loved me. She couldn't love all of me and the way I was in every way. And I wanted to please my family, like I said before. So she's one of the reasons I remained closeted. My grandmother, her mother, woohoo, yoo-hoo, that's what I used to call her. She was very, she made fun of or looked down on. There was a man who was a teacher of mine in high school. I can't quite, it might have been Mr. Frisk, his name might have been. It was high school. It's a long, long time ago. But he was gay, and he wasn't quite open about it, but he had a guy that he was going to go to Europe with, and they were living together, and they had been living together for years, and he was going to Mr. Frisk was about to retire, and this guy had retired, and they were going to go to Europe and do all these things together, and the guy died. But Mr. Frisk went off on his own. And when I came back from France, I went to France in my junior year, and that's when I had Mr. Frisk. And he said, get up and tell about your trip, Jamie. And so I got up, and he said, come on, keep talking. So I talked for the whole 45 minutes of the class about my trip to France. Anyway, grandmother wasn't, when I told her that I had Mr. Frisk, she said, oh, I used to work for his father. He was up. And she made some nasty remarks. But there came a time, and she loved me dearly, and there came a time when she said to me, and it was before, I'm sure I was like in junior high. I don't think I was in high school yet. I'm pretty sure I wasn't. And she kind of made feelers, I see sometimes, when we would go out, and we went out practically every Saturday to lunch, that, there are girls that look at you and you never give them anything back. And, well, something like whatever, always know I will love you. Whoever you love, I will accept into my life. And it may not have been those words, but it was that feeling. So I wish that I could have been strong enough to accept that, because it would have saved me a lot of pain. And I think a lot of people pain. If I'd believed in her strength, maybe the others would have been put off, but just her. That's all I needed. I just needed one, and she said it. But I was too scared. And I was, like I said, very young then, before high school. So it didn't happen then. And there was a time when I was a child, there was a television show, a Western, and I would watch it. I think it was on Saturdays. I might be wrong, but I would watch it at grandmother's. I remember watching it a lot at grandmother's, but sometimes at home too. And there was a mother and a father and a son, and a couple of other characters, or maybe one or two others. But anyway, the woman, the mother, she, of course, it was set in the 1800s, and she had a long dress on. And she would get up, or whenever she would start to move, she would grab her skirts. And it was like a dancer move. I didn't know, but it really attracted me. She was gathering, picking up her skirts to walk, so she wouldn't walk on them. But it was this whole thing she did with her whole body, picking up the skirts and moving her upper chest, not in a sexual way, but it was dancer. Maybe she was a dancer before she was an actress. I don't know. Or both. Maybe she was a triple threat. I don't know if they had them back in the early 60s, but anyway, that move just caught my attention. And so I started doing it with my jeans. I would grab my pants and pull them up and walk. And my grandmother saw this and said, Jamie, I see you doing this. And she did it in front of the whole family. If your pants are too long, just say so. I will take them up for you. And I knew that if I said this, that there was going to be some trouble. But I couldn't have her take up my pants. They weren't too long. So I said, well, it's no, when we watch that program, and the mother, she does this thing, she grabs her skirts, and and I don't know how I said it, but that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be like, I didn't say like her, but I'm doing that. I was so attracted to the movement. And there was a big pause in the family. And so I think that's when they all, well, I don't think Dad was there, but grandfather, mother's father, and Mom and Grandma, I think, were just there. And so they, well, what can you say to a boy that's trying to huff up his skirts and run around? Anyway, my other grandmother, Mère Louise, or as I called her, Mar Louise, Wheezy, was a lady. And I know that's not something that we like to hear here in America, but she was very upper class and aristocratic. And when the subject of my possibly being gay came up, she said, no, he's not. And she defended me so vehemently that it was very obvious when I think back on it that she knew that it was true. But she loved me. And there again, there was somebody, I think, that if I had come out, she would have been able to deal with it. Even though she was a woman of her time and had a lot of prejudices. The things she said, the stupid things she said about African Americans and how they were so lucky to have slavery and be taken care of. I mean, I just didn't know any better. But she loved me. And my sister loved me too. And in several times, she said in ways, but I couldn't do it. I was afraid of losing them and afraid of being less than. And I wanted a son. So I think back to my grandmother Gladys, she would have, I could have made it with her love, with her support. I just wish that I'd seen it then. Oh well.